Good morning, everyone. This is Rafkel, and this is a practice run of Link to the Past that I was doing for a race. This is sort of a speed run, but I think the best way to phrase it, I have decided that I'm using the term fast casual. We're doing pretty much no glitches, just basically play through the vanilla game as fast as possible. And we're doing that partly because one of my opponents, Kylorian, is not a big fan of glitches. And two, because one of my other competitors, Wugga, actually does speedrunning. I don't think he does speedrunning for this game, although he is more experienced in the randomizer than Kylorian and myself are. So we're doing no glitches basically to get everybody on the same page. This race was originally something that we decided on last year on Struggle R. I was not involved with Wheel of Struggle yet. Kylorian was and did a race of Adventures of Link. He is a big Zelda fan, and he got his butt kicked at this race. I was talking some trash, like you do, and had made the offhand comment that I would love to race Kylo in Link to the Past, because it is one of my favorite games, and because I figured it's the one I know best. There's just kind of this back and forth of, Markman beating Kylo at his own game by beating him in Zelda, and then I wanted to try and do the same. So that was probably, 6 months to a year ago, somewhere in there, 9 months. I don't know. What is time? It was before season 7 of Wheel of Struggle. So Struggle R comes around. This is probably the first race that actually got put on the docket, and I am feeling really good about it. And then I had this second race come up and realized that, I need to actually practice this game. Because while I am knowledgeable and relatively good at the game, I am not that good at the game. And somewhere along the way, Wugga asked if he could join in because he's a big fan of Zelda as well. And it was like, sure, yeah, we'll make it a three-way race. And in the course of that, I have realized basically that I am probably the least experienced runner here. Then I, had holiday stuff and personal stuff, and it's just been a lot. I have not had time to do practice runs. This is technically my third practice run, but it was the fourth practice run. It was only the second that I completed. A couple of them I got to a certain point and just things were going bad enough I didn't feel like it was worth continuing. So this particular run, it's the first one I'm uploading. I don't want to bombard people with just Link to the Past speedrun attempts basically over and over again. This is the one that I feel like really emphasized where I am as a runner. It's the first time that I felt good about it. After the first full run I did, I literally was just sitting there going, I may have to drop out of this race because I could not compete in a way without embarrassing myself. So This one, I feel like, okay, we're past that point. I can at least keep up. You know, I'm not confident that I'm going to win by any stretch of the imagination. One of the things that the Struggle R videos have shown me from the FF4 randomizer and from practicing for this is I'm not a speedrunner. This one especially was a very good reminder of like, oh, this is literally doing the same thing over and over again. It is getting this route planned out, like meticulously, carefully, and it is just this focus on precision. There's no flexibility in it. It's very mechanical, which that's one of the reasons I like going fast, but I like things like the randomizer or you know, when I was doing Hades runs, going fast, those are all, there's an element of randomness. Each run is a little different. You have to adapt and go with the flow. This is very much just like, if you were good enough, you can do it very, like, keep it very rote. So, I've realized that this is not my thing. We're gonna see it through, and my thought at this point is we'll see how I do. If I end up pulling something out here, that'll be great. After talking about how I'm not gonna win, that's fine. But I this has also kind of made me realize that I like doing the more creative and administrative sides of this stuff. So I am still planning on looking into some more stuff for the FF4 randomizer, and honestly, maybe I should look into something with this too. But I think for next year's Struggle R, I am feeling fairly confident in it's going to be randomizers, if anything, and it's going to be but I would love to get involved in other ways, like maybe helping with some commentary and stuff like that. I know right now Garlips is organizing all of it. I haven't talked to him about this yet. I talked to him a little bit about just wanting to be involved on the organizational side more with Wheel of Struggle. So, yeah. Well, that was a lot of me talking because Escape is mostly very the same every time, even with randomizer. So at this point, we've rescued Zelda, we've done the escape. We've skipped the chests that need to be skipped. A couple fights that weren't super clean, but I'm not expecting everything to be perfect. And we are heading directly from Sanctuary over to Eastern Palace. Now, this is one of the big things that I think is kind of the determining factor with a lot of this stuff is just it's part execution and it's part routing. And some of the routing, like this, is pretty obvious. You don't need to go to Kakariko, you don't need to go talk to Sahasrahla before you go in here. There is stuff you can go get before you do this dungeon. But you don't have to. And part of the kind of routing decisions, as far as I can tell with this, is how much time are you putting into safety versus what's needed. Like, pro speedrunners for this are not going to pick up any safeties. They're not going to pick up anything that's not needed to finish. But in a live race setting, it's really easy to mess up. And being able to, you can't just reset if you mess up. So I'm kind of hoping that taking a slightly safer approach that fits the way I like playing is going to fit better. So still doing the damage boost there, but very nervous about hearts throughout this. So picking up the extra heart, trying to pace everything out so that I have specifically going in that circle, or going in kind of that loop, and then I'm going over towards this skeleton, even though it's not as fast, because I wanted that heart. Keeping that health in the pool is one of my biggest problems. Not a clean kill there, and finally was just like, nope, we're just getting the pot. Not gonna worry about it. This is a part that I've always felt really good about. Kind of these 3 rooms here, just doing the dip. Not as clean, but again, we're dealing the stuff where I'm saying it's not as clean is fine. It's seconds, and yes, that matters in a race. Yes, that matters in a speedrun, but it's going to come down to whatever it comes down to, and those things add up. But I don't think those are the kind of things that I need to focus on to get a better time. Like that's not what I'm practicing. That's what I'm saying. That's stuff that I'm already okay. Speaking of things that I should probably be practicing, Armo's quick kill is not something that I have experience with. It's something that I never bothered to learn, and oh, there was just a little glitch there. So yeah, that was not the quick kill, but it was still a very good kill. I wasted 2 arrows. That's like literally seconds wasted. I'm okay with that. They didn't escape. They didn't go into the line. That was a really good Armos kill. From here, we get to go down to Sahasrara. We get the boots. We get the... rupees are one of the things that I've had the most trouble getting the route down for. I'm going back and forth still on whether I'm getting the bottle vendor bottle. And honestly, I think I can save myself some time by not doing that, because I didn't end up needing a second bottle at any point during this. I believe this is the other piece that makes our run different than a traditional speedrun. If I remember correctly, you can't save quit during the Link to the Past speedrun. I could be misremembering that. Bonk. That awful bonk. So I am not getting the bottle yet. This is just Book of Medora. The movement here was terrible. That's a minor thing, though. I'm not getting any extra heart containers as I'm going. My entire, like, when I'm saying getting safeties, it's stuff like berries, powder, and blue mail. But yeah, no, I don't think that they do save quits in the speedrun, which was one of the things that I was like, this actually makes it so our routing can be really unique. because I think part of the fun of our run is we're not using any of the speedrun category rules, which means we have to come up with our own strategy based on how we play the game and what our rules allow. So I had a lot of fun with that, and that was me getting lost a little bit there. Again, that's desert has actually been one of my worst areas in general. So start to finish, not surprised. So desert is really straightforward. And unfortunately, there's a few things like that guy always gets in my way, and I'm really bad at getting the kill on him. Sometimes I forget about some of the movement options, just getting some of the dashes started efficiently. One of the decisions I did make was to take a death warp here. It seemed like it was the easiest way to get back out quickly, and I kept running into problems where by the time I got that far, I was running low on health already. There, I remembered to do my sword spin. So I decided, okay, I'm just gonna plan on doing a death warp here. Now, that was actually the deciding factor on not getting the bottle early. My original plan was to get the bottle and the bug net when I went and got the Book of Medora. I decided not to include that in my routing until later because of the death warp there. And I still don't know if that's the right call because of worms. This is probably the boss I am worst at. If there is one thing that I need to actually practice, it is like as in like actually sitting down and focused practicing on one thing. It is the Lammeless fight. I have taken deaths on Landmo in every practice run I have done. And I feel like I really need to... Oh. That was just me not lining up my shot right. But... I know you can get a quick kill with a bow, where you do 3 arrows per Landmo. I know there are things you can do with the ice rod. I have always done this in Rando just with sword. And usually in Rando, you can get a better sword by the time you fight them. You can see there right away, I'm just biffing my shots there. Finally got one. And I think part of my problem is just trying. It's the fact that I'm not good at the arrow shots, and the fact that I tried despite that is not good. I need to just either practice and commit to it, or stop trying to do the damn arrows. And like, I think I would do better if I turned arrows, or if I didn't have arrows highlighted. And there's the death. So running through this dungeon twice is about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Second time I keep making dumb mistakes, like picking up that pot, like not doing the block, not getting my dashes started efficiently. So it probably actually cost me more time because of that as well. Like, I've done this path 1,000 times. I need to just stick to the path. So now I'm going into the boss with 3 hearts, but I decided I'm gonna just play safe. And I think this is the big difference. Is it a fast boss kill? No. Is it gonna be more than a 2-minute time loss if I just play safe? No. There's one down already. Honestly, I think this may have even been faster than when I was trying to do the arrows. There we go. I did 1 arrow shot because it was coming in a straight line right at me, and I was just like, no. I can't miss this one. Forgot where I needed to go, and there's the clear. Like I said, this is definitely the area, I think, overall, that I need to clean up. There's other things that I can make a lot of little improvements on. There are definitely things that there are other places I made major mistakes, but this one has been consistently a problem for me. With that out of the way, we are heading straight up the mountain. We're gonna do Tower of Hera. No side trips on this one, just straight in. Honestly, we haven't had a lot of side trips in the first part of the game. This is just very straightforward. The one thing I will say is, despite it being it's really nice to have that really ingrained movement that you can just do for this section, because it is the same for randomizer and vanilla. But the stupid dialogue, there's so much dialogue here, and just mashing through that and getting started again is really annoying. So outside of that, this is really straightforward. So I hesitated for just a second there. I had been considering going in and getting healed, and then I end up taking that hit as well, which is unfortunate. I don't like going into dungeons at low health, obviously. the decision I made in that split second was that I could get to the tower without an issue. And there are 2 side sections in the tower that you have to do, and then typically mirror back. By the way, going north enough on Spectacle Rock that I don't pick up the heart very intentionally. That was not intentional. But my thought was missing a lot of just basic sword slashes there. That's really obnoxious. My thought was that instead of just mirroring out, I could take a death warp that'll get me back up to 3 hearts. And that is what I did. A little bit longer than the mirror to take a death, but it does get you the hearts. And I think that that is actually really important. Obviously, skip the chests. The chests in this dungeon are just the map and compass. We do not want to get them, so yeah. I will say, this is... I hesitated on doing the peg glitch. If you are standing on the peg when it goes up, it will put you in a invulnerable state until you move off of it. So I considered doing that. That's how I do it during randomizer. However, I wasn't sure if that was counting as a glitch or not, so I wanted to just practice this. I think my intention there was to try and hit one of the other Moldorms through the pegs, just to clear out the room, and I decided not to worry about it. Hesitating there about killing that guy, and then just decided, no, we're just gonna go for it. There's the big key, and then with the big key in hand, we clear this guy out and mirror out. Really minor thing that I'm noticing. I missed sword slash. That I'm noticing is that I am still hesitating a lot on my menuing. That looked way... I wish that was intentional. The bouncing back and forth between the guys. I may have to see if I can just do that again, because that felt really good. Pick up the heart there. Ignore that, because we've got everything set up the way we want. Down to the bottom, and then you can run along the edge, and then flip the switch to red, so that you can get the hearts at the top when you're fighting Moldorm. So at this point, we refill, barely got away from that guy. I wanted to make sure I was at full health going into Moldorm, because Moldorm is something that I used to struggle with a lot in randomizer, although I feel like I did this fight really clean. Probably not as fast as I could have done it, but just in terms of, like, no falls, no deaths, no hits, like, it is just safe, clean, and it wasn't, like, as fast as it could have been. Oh, I guess one hit, my mistake. Like, right there, that was not clean, but we got through it. It felt really good. I feel like I did it a lot better than I expected myself to. Hopefully that doesn't mean I will get complacent, but I guess we'll see how it goes. So with those 3 pendants down, we have save quit, go get the Master Sword, go to Sanctuary, and make our way to Lost Woods. Basically the same pattern we used to get up to Death Mountain, except keep going. I'm not sure if there's a faster route, but this is the way I've always done it. Also, stupid birds. I need to be more aware of birds. That's basically what I picked up from that. I think that is the first of a couple birds that I run into in this. Did not run into that one. I am going out of my way to get the mushroom. It's not really out of your way, it's literally on your way, but the mushroom is lets you get the magic powder later. That is a little bit of a side, takes a little time, but I think it's important to just have that as a safety. The magic powder lets you basically make fairies as you're going through certain dungeons, and especially like I think the one that stands out the most is I want to have that for Turtle Rock. There are a couple spots during Turtle Rock that have a bunch of anti-fairies, and being able to just have that clean is really good. Just be able to fill up your health whenever you want, and I will also by that point have the bug catching net. Save quit again here, because to get down to the castle, we want to go to Link's house. And just run straight through. Once again, not sure if taking that stairway is faster or if going the other way is faster. Honestly, it looks like the other way, taking the bottom path and then walking up the stairs, might be faster just because you're not doing because you're not going up and then back down. You're just going left and then down. So I was not paying attention to that. So these guys are obnoxious. I've always been really bad at killing them. And they take so many hits. So that was part of my strategy there. It's just like, okay, we're just using bow and arrow. It's safe, it's fast. I do still hate these mazes. Especially that one's the key, yeah. And I think, yeah, I keep mixing up the two mazes, and I did okay. I only had one wrong turn this time. I think two. Although I think that one was also to get the heart. Realized that I just about walked right past the door. And then we're back into, this is the same whether you're doing rando or vanilla, once again, kind of like escape. I don't feel like I did this part as clean as I could have. At some point here, I need to switch to boomerang, because taking the time, you don't want to take the time to kill these enemies, unless you have to. And that was going the wrong way, because the key is at the bottom. Once again, grabbing the heart. I kept getting really nervous that I was going to get through this and then just be like, oh, hey. Get to the very end and have to take a death on Aghanim or take a death on, one of the last rooms. Which, I mean, is probably not as big of a concern as I feel like it should be. That guy drops the key. This is another room you just walk through. There's a lot of rooms in Aghanim's Tower that you don't actually have to do the fights on. And I think that's... Like, I know that my opponents for the race are going to be in the same situation. Once again, this is I spent way too much time fussing with the bow and arrow. I need to just use the bow and arrow for that first room, switch to boomerang for the rest of the tower. That's something I'm gonna add that to my notes. Trigger the text from the right side just to save walking around, and that puts us in. That gets us ready for the fight. This is the one of the few things that is extremely random for our run. Every time Aghanim attacks, he can either throw the regular volleyball or he can throw the blue ball that explodes. You need to hit him, I believe it's 6 times, and you can get... You're not ever... I don't think you're ever guaranteed. Yeah. So there's 2 blue. And then every 5 he goes up to the middle and does the lightning. So the longer... Or the more regular attacks he throws at you, the less... Actually, I think it's 5, not 6. Whatever. I'll count right now, because I think I'm overestimating it. That's another blue. Yeah, 6. I was right the first time. So because of all of the blue attacks that he threw, he did a second lightning there. Even during our race, that's going to be something that's going to be a factor where you can get all of that in the first 2 cycles, but it's not guaranteed. So I ended up at about 37:15 for getting to Dark World. I checked a pretty prominent no major glitches speedrun, and they were at this point at just over 28 minutes. So considering I had 2.5 minutes for my death during desert, that means I'm about 7.5 minutes behind, like, and that's also considering that they are, so no major glitches does not mean no glitches. They still do bomb jumps, and they're probably not taking some of the safeties I'm doing. So I'm pretty happy with that, considering they're doing stuff like spin dashes and bomb jumps, which I did not do previously. From here, we are going straight over to Palace of Darkness. This is another one where I was very hesitant about routing. I considered stopping here and going to get the magic powder. And I considered stopping here to get the, to stop, go back and get the bottles and the, what's it called? Bug net. But I decided that I can do Palace of Darkness without that. Honestly, it's a dungeon I'm pretty confident with. So yeah, decided to just go through it and work those safeties in at a more natural time. Start off going down the left side. Little accidental grab and bonk there, but that's okay. And honestly, most of this is pretty straightforward, which is something that I actually do appreciate with it. Probably not efficient to dash there, but that's okay. Grab the key, head back down. Probably should switch to bombs before that, so I can have it ready. That's a minor thing, though. So as I went up this stairway, I realized I had made a potential... Oh, wait, no, it wasn't this one. There's a stairway coming up where I realized I made a mistake. And I think this is also where I make a mistake, because I have some notes that didn't explain things as well as they should have. So get this key and then warp out. And that's the mistake right there. My next note says to go right, and it's actually not. This was like, wait, does this take me where I think it's going? And I kind of had this moment of realization. It's like, wait, this is not right. And for some reason, I decided to walk back out instead of mirroring, which would have been faster. I was already a bit confused and flustered there. It's go up through the center and then take the right path. I just had noted mirror and then go right, which is obviously not the same. So, with that key in hand, or we've got a key in hand, we go through here, do that. I really should have done that, killing both of those guys. It's a little safer, but whatever. I know we don't pick that up. This is another one where I think I need to get a little bit better at being efficient, and this is also one of the reasons I was considering the powder, because this room is really annoying. Skip that one because that's that chest contains a single arrow. And the left side, I did this back and forth pattern where I only had to go through once. The right side, I tried to dash through and then do a second dash, and that was a lot less efficient. So I need to do the weave on both sides. The reason that is important is because I am going to go get the flippers right after this, so I need that 500. Right at this point, I believe that's another one I need to remember not to pick up. That's one of the only chests. I think during this one I only opened one map chest during the entire run this time. Like map or compass. Again, stopping for the thing that I didn't need. Is that one is a key, so we do need that one. And I kind of had this moment of realization that I could, okay, death warp out instead of, and get my health back. Since I don't know the fairies yet, I can do that. And rather than just wait for enemies, I just did a quick bomb myself twice. At this point, I was also getting a little bit nervous because because of my arrow count. Because I needed arrows to do a trick right here. You can kind of thread the needle between that treasure chest and then use that to lower the thing. I also need to remember to flip that switch as I go through. Grab the hearts. And then get to this room. I was thinking it was the one with the switch, and then I was like, oh no. This is the enemies that need bow and arrow, and I am very low on arrows. But it ended up working out. There are pots with arrows for that reason, and this is the room I was thinking I was going to be in. And then waste an arrow again. So basically what I actually need to do there is flip the switch in the room before the mimics. That takes me to basement, which is pretty straightforward. Although I did also realize that I didn't have a great way to get through some of those switches. Specifically going after some of those rupees because I know what's coming up, which is, again, Zora. And as those guys flip, they don't have a hitbox. You can walk right through them. And that brings us to Helmasaur. I saw a method using a couple bombs before switching to Hammer there. I don't know that I will adapt to that. And then, yeah, my preference here is the hammer with the sword. You hold the sword out, the hammer's hitbox extends a little, makes it really easy, and then 8 arrows in the forehead after you finish. And that gets us our first crystal. Finally finished with the text. And immediately make a mistake. I actually need to update my notes on that one because I have to mirror and then save quit. It does not work if you just save quit. So back to Link's house, and we are going to just do a real quick couple of side stops on South Hyrule. I'm not sure the absolute best time to do this, but it felt like it would work. So we're stopping by Hype Cave for one reason, and that's so that we can afford Zora's flippers. Now at this point, I've got enough rupees. Yeah, I think I'm skipping the bottle vendor. Because that actually cuts out the C-shaped house as well. Where I was picking up some more rupees. Like, force myself to get good enough to get through. I don't think I had another significant death, or to the point where I'd have need the 2 bottles. I'm already at 640. Yeah, that feels right. So, quick aside there to get that. And unfortunately, get caught in a cutscene. Thought we were going to get away free. I'm not sure exactly how that works. Maybe I should actually try and like get on top of it, and then we have to get back into the portal, and now save quit back to the top. And this is going to be now our northeast route, where we're going to go get Quake. We're going to get the magic powder, and we're going to get the flippers. So we need to go up here to get Quake anyway. We need to get the flippers anyway. And it was like, as long as we're on this path, I feel like it's not that big of a problem to get the magic powder. I considered also doing a potion bottle here, as potion is technically more efficient than fairy, even though you have to pay more attention. But I don't have a bottle, so I did not. And from here, Catfish and Zora are pretty straightforward. Run. Make sure you don't get hit by crabs, because you are still a... yeah, or anything. Because you are still on green tunic in Dark World. And when you get over into Light World here, the enemies are the... like... oh, that was another just little dumb, but that's okay. The crabs on Light World side are some of the nastiest enemies in Light World. And they can hit pretty hard. Big thing with Zora's Domain is just looking for straightaways. And it's a really crooked area. There's a lot of this flooded areas where you walk slow when you're on the shallows. And then, of course, we are just going to save quit back out once we pick up the flippers. Okay, with that out of the way, we are on to Kakariko Village. We're finally gonna go pick up our bottles. Bottle now. During this run, I got 2, and I don't think I used them. I know I got saved by 1 once, and there's another time where if I had actually had the fairy online, I would have been in good shape. But I accidentally walked into a fairy instead of catching it with the net. So, and didn't take the time to go get another one. So, I think I do still like having the bottles. But I think I'm gonna only get 1 instead of the 2, just because of the rupee routing. Get our flute activated. Which that's actually another thing that I need to be better at. Is after the flute activation, I really need to be a bit more careful about not save quitting as much, because once you get the flute, you should never save quit after you beat a dungeon, because you're going to be at full health and magic from getting the crystal. That's really the only reason. There might be one I'm forgetting, but for the most part, it is straight up, we're going to use the flute. And then from here, we're going to do the dash. I need to be better at lining that one up. But we head into Kakariko Woods. I don't actually know if this is the best way to do this, but it feels like it's the only way to do this, so we're doing it. To get to Dark World. And straight into Thieves Town. So this is in randomizer. This is the dungeon I am generally most comfortable with. It's a real quick run, and for some reason this has given me so much trouble in vanilla. I think part of it is just because the routing is so different. You don't have to get those first 3 chests. You just get the big key. Which that's not that different, but it still feels like it gave me so much trouble. And then immediately I screwed up the powder. This part is really straightforward. This part I'm fine with. Although I could probably do better on the Hellway. I know I did that badly. Go right past the anti-fairy that actually is pretty easy to do. And there, I was doing fine until I got into that point, and then it was like, nope, apparently I actually have to deal with these guys now. And that right there is the beginning of the end. Take a bunch of damage. Grab the pot and use that to hit the switch. That's pretty standard for how I do this. That guy decided he wanted to choose violence, so so we did. Not sure why I bothered grabbing the skull. I really needed to focus on that. And then I don't think that that's important. Yeah. I had that brief hesitation of like, oh, do I need to do this? No, I don't. Okay, this is a spot where I feel like I missed an opportunity. Yes. Right there. That cost me about 3 minutes. My plan was to hit that and get the fairy in the bottle, and I did not. And that completely hosed me. I'm trying to remember if you can do that block. I have it in my head that you need the mitts for that block. And now I'm second guessing myself, and I feel like I might have been wrong on that. So that'll be something to test or to check on. Get hammer before we go in, get the mitts. And honestly, at this point, I should probably be going back to the left, or to the right rather, instead of going through the conveyor belts. Just had that brief moment of, how do I do this? Or what do I need to do? So that's a real easy... Like, genuinely, I didn't feel like I was doing bad here. And then that happened. And that was the thing that just ruined it. Literally one hit off, take the last hit. If I had the fairy, we would have been good. Now I have to do blind. I have to go back through the front section. Which again, is something that I am not as good at as I should be. There's probably a faster way through this, and I don't know it. But also, now I have to do blind without that initial 3 hits. So I'm like, okay. How do I get this? How do I fix this? I've already taken some damage. And I'm going the wrong way. So I feel like that's something that, as soon as I get that bug net, I'm not doing any more death warps. That's the first thing, is this is my plan already. So went up there, realized, wait, what am I doing? There's an anti-fairy just 2 rooms over here. We'll grab that. It's all good. And immediately, again, accidentally refill instead of. So now, I'm trying to get up here and get this on the conveyor belt. Finally got it, and like, that whole process, I should have gone back to this room after I missed the fairy the first time, because I was trying to be safe. And I think that's the big thing, is just, once I have that bug net and the powder, I need to commit. Just get it, because if you take 30 seconds to find that fairy, that's better than the 3 minutes it takes to do the boss again. Or to get back to the boss and do all the prep and everything. And this one, I very much was just like, I have a fairy. If I need to use it, I'm using it. And if you're not familiar, when you walk in from the front, blind is a lot harder because you don't get to start behind it. You don't get those early hits. So that is a lot of time for what is genuinely not that hard of a boss. I just made some little mistakes with it, played a little too aggressively, took one hit that I really didn't, that hit a lot harder than I expected. And yeah. So this is what I'm cutting out by not doing the bottle run. And it seems like, well, so that's only about, okay, yeah, it's like 20 seconds. To not have a second bottle. Which it also cuts out that the dialogue from buying it, the cutscene, holding it over your head. So it's probably gonna save about a minute total. Which if you're paying attention at this point, we've got like 2.5 minutes from Lamulus, 3 minutes from Blind, and about a minute for the rupee routing and bottle salesman. That's over 6 minutes that I'm getting back. So now we get the tempered sword. I'm assuming everybody is going to be getting gold sword and silver arrows, because we did talk about that. Honestly, that's like, this just needs to be done. Half magic is not something that I'm sure everybody is going to get. I feel like this is a safety. It costs some time. It genuinely does cost some time for that dialogue and the loop here. But it means that you are a lot less likely to run out of magic. Also, I didn't realize that this was that didn't count. You actually have to go off the map, and apparently jumping down the well does not count for that. So you do have to do that. That'll be a minor thing. But yeah, half magic is especially for Ice Temple and Turtle Rock. And Ganon's Tower, honestly. Just being able to be a little bit more free with magic if you have a situation where you want it feels good. So from here, we are going to do the hopefully shortest dungeon, Skullblitz. Front of Skullwoods is very quick and easy. There's a lot to it, and you can skip pretty much all of it if you know where you're going. Not sure what I was doing there. I just had that brief moment. So in randomize, my thoughts are either in randomizer, you can use Cane of Samaria there. Part of me was thinking I was looking for that. Part of me was just like, wait, I don't have anything that gets used here. Big key. Get back out. Real simple. I will also just say, looking at my rupee count here, I may even be okay with yeah. I'm already back up to 57. I want to keep an eye on when I actually hit it, just getting those spare rupees along the way. Realized I was on bombs by accident. Forgot to, or not mirror. Because if I can get, or if I'm easily hitting 100 rupees before I get to the, or 400 in this case, minus the 300. Basically, I'm going to skip the C-shaped house. There's part of me that's like, okay, well, if I still happen to get over 100 rupees just from rupee drops and stuff, then I could very easily still get the bottle. That still saves like 30 seconds off the C-shaped house. I'm also getting into nitpicking, like very small details, but all of that adds up. And my goal is to get, ideally, I'd like to get a practice run under 2 hours. So that's kind of where I'm at. Little slip up there, no big deal. You can cut that corner though. This is one of the rooms that I'm like, just use that fire rod, realizing that it's gonna run out there, so went back, relight it, and right here I'm like, okay, there's one of the like transformation guys. Let's just grab that fairy, get a health back. And that gets us the key. I, at this point, do not have a fairy in a bottle, which I don't like. But I am at full health and good magic. Hugging the moth is bad. This is probably the scariest fight that I did the whole time. Or I should say it's the scariest fight that didn't end poorly. It almost ended poorly, because if that hadn't killed, it would have been moving towards me and I would have taken the hit. That's okay. So this is where I mentioned that I did a save quit. Or at least this is the first time. I might have done more than one. Wow. Where I'm now at lower health than I should be. I will say I am curious if this is the dungeon order that the other runners are going to use. Because I think some runs do Swamp before Thieves Town. I personally, Swamp's easy enough. The big thing for me is that Swamp has I switched to mirror and then forgot to go. Swamp's boss is actually the piece for me of I want Tempered Sword before we get to that fight. So I was trying to do the block push with the mirror. That is apparently not in the US version. So even though we talked about being able to do the block push glitch, that was the one glitch we were going to allow. Was not able to do it in... There's yet another fairy that I ended up standing on top of when I wanted to put it in a bottle. So that was just a lot of little dumb things. Hopefully, I'm sure when I'm, you know, dealing with nerves, I'll be much more reliable at not making those kind of mistakes. But yeah. I think it's a huge deal to have a tempered sword for this boss. And that is part of the reason I did the routing the way I did. Stop fighting things you don't need to. Stop picking up skulls you don't need to. This might be one of the most straightforward dungeons, just because it doesn't have a lot of routing variation. I guess the other one would be the back half of Thieves' Town, but like, there's not a lot of other ways you can go in this dungeon. One of the big things with it is just there is also a lot to skip. So that is one thing I will say. I don't think I made any mistakes as far as that goes in this dungeon. It was just pretty straightforward all the way through. Stop picking up skulls. Which I totally realized what I was doing right there. You can see as I bypassed that. It's like, I'm not super low on hearts. I'm not in a bad situation. This is pretty straightforward here. You don't need to pick up the skulls. Grab the hook shot. The one bad thing about doing Swamp a little later is that you don't get the hook shot, but I don't think there's a ton of spots where that's a big time save. I think I want to say there might be a spot in... No. I don't think Thieves' Town and Skullwoods really have a lot of spots where it's valuable. At that point, I was definitely fishing for a heart. That was a more okay skull pickup. The good news is the boss for this is very straightforward and one that I'm very confident in, particularly with the tempered sword. I have always hated this little moment where you have to swim up and grab that, and there's that enemy you just cannot kill that will oftentimes crowd the ladder. Managed to get around him this time. And the big reason that the tempered sword matters is because if you have the master sword, you cannot each puff takes 2 sword slashes or a spin slash 2. There are strats where you use Master Sword and you pull 2 puffs and then Spin Slash, where it still is efficient, but it's just such a big deal. And then this right here, anytime the boss lands, you move, or he always moves diagonal down to the right. So you charge your sword spin, move down diagonal down to the right, and he will run right into you every time. Simple and clean. So this is another spot where I save quit when I should have just fluted. And even worse, I had that brief moment where I realized that where I needed to go was the mountain, and I didn't even save quit to the mountain cave like I should have. Like, if I'm gonna do it wrong, I may as well have done it the best way to do it wrong. But this was just 2 things in a row of save quit when I should have fluted, and then fluted, when I save quit, went to the wrong location. At this point, we're just running a couple quick errands. I needed the Aether tablet before we go to Meyer, otherwise you can't get in. And I figured this was also a good time to quick do Ice Rod. The logic here was basically just, if you're fluting around anyway, we need to do Ice Rod at some point. I don't see a reason not to do it now. We could technically do it when we do Ice Palace, but we're not doing Ice Palace next, even though we are on South Shore. Which, fluting a bunch anyway, it does not matter where, like, the fact that they are geographically close together does not matter now that we have fast travel unlocked. So this is one of the major route diversions I'm doing, and one that I am hoping gives me an edge over the other runners. In the No Major Glitches speedrun, because you have bomb jumps and diver down and other like ways to do like glitches to get through Ice Palace, you can do that before Mire. However, with our glitch set, I don't see a reason to do Ice Palace first. And the main reason for that is... Whoops. Yeah, Mire was not clean. Anyway, the major reason is, without glitches, we'd have to play Ice Palace straight. You have to do a full complete. And I absolutely hate that idea. This is, I did terribly on this room. This is possibly the best or worst I've ever done this room. So, straight up, the Cane of Samaria lets you skip the block puzzle at the end of Ice Palace. I don't know that the other runners will think about this, because especially if they're using the No Major Glitches speedrun as kind of a framework, and I know that Wugga actually has done No Major Glitches. This is a diversion from that route, and kind of hoping, like, he was even complaining about Ice Palace and having to do Ice Palace straight. So I guess we'll see how this pans out and whether it ends up being a benefit to me. Again, I couldn't think of any reason doing Mire second would be beneficial. It's not like you get, like, the item for Ice Palace is just the blue mail, so technically it would have helped me with a little bit with damage stuff, but that is about the extent of it. And with the other safeties I've got in place, that room right there is excellent for dealing with fairies. I will say this right here is not efficient, I'm pretty sure. I think that is something that I should do in a different order. This is something I'm used to because of the randomizer. I think I need to do that chest after I come out of that room, because we're kind of double dipping here. Although it does give me a second fairy. Also, speaking of fairy, if you note, I'm at 400 rupees now, which means I didn't need to get the C-shaped house, even if I had gotten the second bottle, just based on how many rupees I picked up. However, that is with all of the skulls that I was picking up that I'm scolding myself for. So, take it or leave it, I guess. We'll see. I'm still trying to figure out the routing on Mire a little bit, because it's something that I'm not as familiar with doing vanilla. In randomizer, you know, you want to do the chests. You want to grab all the chests. And obviously, this, we don't need to. So, big key. My original routing, I was going to try mirroring from here, but I feel like that's really inefficient because you have to I think part of it for me was, oh, I really don't want to re-clear that room that I completely failed at the beginning. So it's, I think this, and then right here would be where I go get that other key, instead of where I originally did. Assuming I need it. I'm gonna watch my key count here. In Samaria. blue pegs down here. I was also going back and forth on whether I needed the pegs where they were. There's a key in that skull there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just big key and then straight through here. So I actually don't need to go back and get that key. Interesting. I genuinely don't think I even noticed that while I was playing. Really bad block placement there. This is why I was curious about the peg. Because I know that the orange pegs are up here. So if I mirrored instead of walking out, that would be flipped. And I wouldn't have to go up to do the peg there. But I would have to walk around after I got the cane. So I don't feel like it's worth it. Started dashing the wrong direction there. Little mistakes. That's one I tried to be fancy and it didn't work. All I actually need to do there is walk back into the doorway. This is also a spot where I definitely did not do it as well as I could. I can't even remember the last time I got hit by the lightning, and at this point I'm walking way too close into the slime. And then I'm like, oh yeah, you can use arrows here, and it is pretty good. So, glad I had the fairy. Didn't have to re-walk through, because this is a very long walk. This is one of the worst bosses to die at. And that was honestly the thing I was most worried about right there. And just like Helmasaur, this is 8 arrow shots. See, I think I finally remembered to, yep, finally remembered to flute here. So now we're going back to the lakeshore, location 8, to do Ice Palace. Ice Palace is another one where I may need to double check my key routing. The big thing with the original routing is that you basically need to do 2 full loops. Because of, you have to go through once to get the boss key, you backtrack, get the switch flipped, then you have to go back through to come back on the correct side and push the block down. We're going to be able to skip part of that with King of Samaria. With the glitches, you don't even need to do that. You even skip having to get the boss key. So right away, exit that room before you even go in. Normally, I would be clearing these a little bit more, and this one I'm trying to remind myself that I don't need to. The hook shot will kill those guys in one hit, but we're just going through. You have to bomb this floor, and you can place the bomb in the bottom right corner. It'll save you having to get the switch flipped again. Plus you need or stay on bombs. I don't know the trick to kill both these skeletons in one hit, so we're just doing a pretty straightforward kill. There is a little bit of a lag there that would probably be nice to get rid of. And I believe that leaves the correct switch toggle there. So in an NMG, oh man, I can't believe I did that. I saw what was coming as it was happening there. It's like, you've got to flip the switch, then hook shot over. Also, while you're hook shotting, you are effectively invincible, which is a really, really nice feature in this game. So this was me just blanking out. I'm pretty sure I just need to damage boost through this. What am I doing? Oh, I'm checking my notes. That's what I'm doing. Because my notes for this section were terrible. It says east at the cross, and I was like, I don't have a key. How can I go east at the cross? So yeah, we're basically going north there instead of doing the other side first. Do this. I know there's a faster way to do it. I always do that bonk and come back. It's my favorite thing. This is 1 square east of the cross where we just were. So we're going to go up, get the big key, come back down there. Big key, back down. So this is where, if you were going the normal route, you grab this chest. I am curious about key routing for this as well. I think we're right on the money. We want to cut across here. Don't like those 2 hits. Toss the bomb, switch to fire rod, kill the 2 enemies, which I don't actually need to do. That's a chest I can skip, and you don't even need to spawn the enemies. I did decide to go ahead and get the blue mail. And this is just another safety. It's not that out of the way for the routing. Go through here. And so if they are playing it straight, like as intended, they will need to now go do a second loop for this section. Because you go flip the crystal, you also need another key, which I did not. But with King of Samaria, you can just do this part straightforward. I do not know, like I said, what the routing that the other guys are going to plan is, so this is might be me being very proud of something that is really obvious, but to me, that was something that was a big shift from the NMG, and I felt like it was a good fit, good thing to highlight because of that. Got hit by an ice block right as I was going to do the spin slash. Not the cleanest cold stare, but it's... You know what? Anyone you walk away from at this point? I don't think it's worth getting bombos for that. I don't think that's a big jump to say, but maybe they know something. Maybe somebody knows something I don't know. At this point, I had realized my faux pas with the flute, and kind of self-corrected. So, I am assuming everybody is going to do this at this point, but I do not know that for sure. This is it's a really minor, like, to me it feels obvious routing thing, and that is, if you are getting silver arrows anyway, you may as well get the gold sword once you can. After you've completed Ice Palace and Mire, it unlocks the Super Bomb, that lets you get to Pyramid, that lets you get the gold sword. The only other boss that you could technically do out of order here, I think, is Skull Woods. So you basically have to do it at this point. There's no reason to do that because you can't actually damage Mothula with the gold sword anyway. So yeah, I feel like getting this before Ganon's Tower and before Turtle Rock should be an obvious play. If somebody happens to not do it because they're used to, let's say, running NMG where you don't do, where you don't even use silver arrows, I'm not going to complain if they just get it at the very end. You need to go a little further out there. Yeah. You don't actually need to fully exit. I did consider dipping into the other one just to upgrade my, to get the free shield upgrade while I was doing like Catfish and Zora. But you can't get to it until after you get the flippers, so you could do it like on your way out, but that's only if you actually exit Zora's domain naturally. And I saved, or fluted at that point. So the fastest way to get to Turtle Rock is through the Light World, and I feel like that's something that is not necessarily obvious. Like, it feels like you should be going up in the Dark World, but the fastest way, as far as I remember, oh, stupid dead rock. I got completely hosed there. Not a whole lot you can do. And those things take a lot longer to thaw than it feels like they should. Especially when you're trying to go fast. So taking this cave is easily the fastest way through this. In Rando, I am very used to taking all of the like side areas on Death Mountain. This feels really weird to be going through this with no chests, no side paths, none of the secret caves. And if you're doing 100% or something like that, casual playthrough, it's a very very good section. However, it's also not needed. We gotta go fast. When I did my first practice run, I actually hammered the pegs in the wrong order. It's just like, well, how could I am clearly not in the right mindset for this. Something is really weird here. I've also never seen that happen. Or I don't remember that happening at the very least. Light all the torches. Hook shot off the platform will let you very quickly move through. Use the hook shot to give yourself some invulnerability frames there. That is the only map that I picked up the entire time. I will hopefully remember not to next time. One hit on each roller is not terrible. Or going each direction, rather. And then at the bottom there's a heart, no magic. That's part of why I walked back out instead of potentially fluting there. It might actually, or not fluting, mirroring. It might be faster to mirror. I absolutely hate this room. This is easily my least favorite, like one of my least favorite rooms in the entire dungeon. These things hit so hard, and they're so erratic. That was better than I've done in a lot of cases. And this, I have it labeled as the vent room. I'm not sure what the technical is for it. Is one of the places where you can get berries. I did a terrible job there. And really, I shouldn't focus too much there because there is a better spot to get berries in the next room. That's another one. I don't know what I was even looking for there. Stop picking up skulls. Yeah, that right there. It's just like, okay, that's the actual spot to get fairies. Really don't care about taking a hit. Get the big key. I'm trying to remember. For some reason I had it in my head from Rando that going back up is faster, but I wanted to get the full magic. I'm not sure if that's actually needed. It's terrible. Honestly, the enemies in this dungeon are just the worst. So I am a little torn here. I think if you skip the mirror shield, you can go through this. You don't need the mirror shield. It is technically an optional item. You can bypass the bridge. I'm bad at that though. Because yeah, this is where that would come out if you skip the mirror shield. But you only need to do it once. It is a little safer going through Ganon's tower as well. Gotta switch items because you can't hook shot through the peg. Blue boomerang's time to shine. I was a little nervous on this. Going into this room with 3 hearts, you basically have to play perfectly to not get hit here. You can use the hookshot to kind of like manipulate yourself on the platform. And again, you have invulnerability frames while you're using the hookshot. So you do have to get this key. As I do terribly. So even though it is not necessary whatsoever, like to open that path. I just had this brief moment of like, what am I doing? Yep, take the hit. Take a fairy. And I can't remember. Yeah, I still ducked out. I don't need to do that. And that is one of the things that I should probably do better about. With Gold Sword, Trinix is a joke. And there's an entire room with anti-fairies right here. Like, if I'm running low on health, if I'm concerned about it, I will have a bottle. I will be able to get a fairy. And I think that is fine. It's just like, what's going on here? I don't know what I did wrong with my routing there compared to what I normally do, but whatever. It's fine. We're not worried about magic. We've got half magic. I didn't need to pick up those skulls, but better safe than sorry for a boss fight. In the past, I've always done the blue head first. It is way, way better to actually just do that. And that's something that I need to get better at as well, is you can flip, or while the explosions are going on, you can't switch items. One of the things you can do though is as soon as you freeze the fire head, it's just the 3 hits to get it. So while you're doing the sword slashes, you can switch to the fire rod so that you are ready to start on the ice head while the explosions are still going off, and slightly faster. Like I said, not sure why I feel like I need to do the save point still. This is a boss that I am way better at than I used to be, and it's not like I was going into it with, without the yellow sword. It's really easy with the yellow sword. And we finally saved Zelda. Okay, dash crossed here. Accidental bonk, saved it with the mirror shield there. Immediately heading left side. I'm honestly not sure that this is the fastest, but it looked like it was. I did do some research on the NMG, and it's pretty much exactly the same for this section. I do also think that as I was going through, I think I picked up one more key than I probably need. Yeah, I think what I was trying to do was actually not what I was trying to do there. I promise that makes sense. And then was trying to do the fancy boomerang trick there and got it the second time. This one I am not good enough to do. So if there's an extra key, bonk here to get ahead of it. Hesitated in the wrong spot there, but that's okay. Dash across the bottom like a lot of those other areas. Bonk over the portal. You can technically go through it, but that's a little faster. Get wrecked by the small enemy. All of these enemies have knockback, which is the problem. Bonk across there instead of doing the invisible path all the way through. Get the bomb down right away. And then just have that magic powder ready. I don't think I ended up even using this, but you have to go through this path anyway. And that brings us to Ice Armos. These are the standard 3 arrows if you don't have silvers, but with silvers it's 1. The downside with silvers is it lags because of the ice tiles and the silvers both having those sparkles going. Grab the big key. This is another one where honestly I'm a little torn, but given the fact that I am basically, I keep almost dying, I'm going to play it safe. Red mail. I'm guessing that at least one of the other runners is going to skip that chest for the extra time. But it's only a few rooms. I don't feel like it's a big deal. And at this point, we've got 2 keys going into the top half of the dungeon, which again, technically you can get those keys along the way, so I'm not sure if that is actually the best way to do it. This is a room that I have always done the vanilla way, and really I should be damage boosting there. Pretty minor thing, but it adds up. And get the the mimics out of the way. This is another spot where technically the silver or the mirror shield is good because you can face the mimics down directly and their fireballs will hit it. Accidentally stepped on the switch again there, which is annoying. Not a good cannon cycle. Had to slow down. And we start the gauntlet. I've never been great at the gauntlet. I do feel like I did worse than I sometimes do this time. If you see me picking up extra pots, it's probably looking for hearts. I hesitated very briefly there before I was just like, no, I don't need that heart. I've got 2 fairies. There's an anti-fairy coming up in a room, like 2 rooms down the road. I will make it. I did cut it a little closer than I would have liked. But again, I had 2 fairies, even if I took a death hit. That was me going, oh, right, I had 2 fairies. Also got a little ahead of myself here. Lemilus goes way faster with Gold Sword. I've been having some weird issues with this room since we started doing these vanilla runs. I've never had a problem in rando. That room is another reason that I'm feeling confident about my mirror shield choice, because if you walk forward into that guy, that works out. I know there's a faster way to do this room. I would rather be safe in this case than... basically, if you have to do it twice, it's slower. And time for another room that I've never had a problem with in rando and keep messing up in my practice on vanilla. I keep bumping into this pit. And it is driving me crazy, because I don't know why I'm suddenly having problems with this after, years of playing this with rando and never having that problem running into that one bubble there. I almost did it again. So this is one of the rooms you can skip because we got the key already. That's the one where I feel like could be beneficial. Go ahead and just damage boost through that. Not a big deal. The big thing here is I need to remember not to hit the switches, because I don't need the key. And that takes me to Moldorm. I had a brief moment once again where I'm realizing that you want to... Oh, that's right. I forgot I got bumped off. Even worse. I think part of it at this point was nerves. I was getting so close to the end and was right around where I wanted to be, just over the 2-hour mark at this point. The last practice run I did, I was at 240. So this is like a half-hour difference on that run. I suspect I'm not going to be cutting a half hour off my time again. Yeah, my first one was 240. This was obviously a lot better. The 240 was the one where I said I was needing to get to a point where I wasn't going to be embarrassed. And then I didn't even want to upload it or do the commentary because it was so bad. I needed to just get through it, and I appreciate that part of it. Like, I needed to rip the band-aid off. It was very much I haven't played this yet, haven't done any routing yet, I just need to stop overthinking. Okay, I'd started planning the routing and made some notes, but I kept getting caught up on I need to finish my notes before I do my practices. And the problem with that was that I had nothing to go off of for the practice outside of NMG. So I feel like it was good to just rip the band-aid off, do a run. Again, fast casual, just play through as quickly as you can, do strats you think are going to work, don't overthink it, and then go through that to make notes. And that's what I did. And that's kind of what I'm doing with this one as well. And honestly, adding the commentary is helping a lot as well, because I'm catching things as I'm talking through it that I didn't notice as I was playing. And at this point, we are straight into Ganon. Missed the initial slash, not a huge deal. With Gold Sword, it is 8 strikes per phase. Brace against the wall there. Hook shot to get through the enemies. And should be single sword strikes to skip any more fire bats. This is the one thing I screwed up. I was getting really nervous about it, and I was like, I ended up missing the window on getting the fire ride glitch, which is one of the other few things that we had said was okay. It's like, okay, am I gonna have time for this? And then I get a double. And that felt good. That was my, like, okay, I have done what I need to do here. Didn't get a second double. Just need to play safe. I think I took one hit for that entire Ganon fight. That felt really good. And again, even though I had caught 2 fairies in Misery Mire, never ended up needing more than 1. Anytime that I used one, I replaced it. Never ran into that again. And final time for this run was 2:09:20. So I know I have some things to clean up. There were things that I just didn't do well. There were things that I just had nerves on. There were a few bosses that I just did poorly at. And there were definitely some times where I wasn't being patient enough, which, given my last run, is something that I wish I had done better at. Last run, in this case, meaning the FF4 rando race with Markman, the first Struggle R race. So, this is a preamble for the actual race, which will be on Saturday, the 25th of January, 1 o'clock Eastern. Adjust accordingly. That will be hosted at twitch.tv/Wheel of Struggle. I will not be posting it on my channel, but I will keep my video and do a commentary like this, the same way I did with the FF4 randomizer race, to provide context, and I will link to the VOD. So, thank you all for joining. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, give me a like and subscribe. Check out the other content on my channel. And as always, have a good one.